Good morning, everyone. Today is the last session for Project Plant a Seed for the 2020-2021 school year. Project Plant a Seed was created with you in mind. The last year has been filled with challenges as we transition from virtual learning to learning in person. Your resilience and perseverance has contributed to your success. Our team would like to thank you for giving it your all this school year. There is only one direction to go from here, and that's up. Today's speaker is one of Lancaster's own. Madison DeWispelaere is a creative director and Atalo startup coordinator at Atalo. Additional roles at Atalo include acting as lead graphic designer, social media coordinator, and strategic partner for diversity, equity, and inclusion training provided by Atalo. She does it all. Madison is also a board member for Music for Everyone and recently launched a social justice initiative called Songs for Justice. She is currently attending Villanova University. In her spare time, she loves to spend time outdoors. She likes going on walks and regularly hanging out with family and friends. Some of her interests include playing Call of Duty, listening to podcasts. She loves 2000s reggaeton, Drake, Danny Lane, and she's very much so into fashion. A fun fact about Miss Madison is that her personal record for solving the Rubik's Cube is 20 seconds. That's a tough record to beat. Please join me in welcoming Miss Madison.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I cannot even contain my excitement. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much to everyone for offering me this opportunity to speak with all of you today. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. I know that there's some of you out there that when you're sitting in class and you know you got to go around, the teacher's like, okay, here we go. We're going to go around the room. We're going to say our name. And we're going to share a fun fact about ourselves. And you know you're going to have to be the next person to speak. And your heart's racing a little bit. And you're counting down the people until you have to go. Listen, that feeling right there, I feel right now. But overall, it's all excitement. And so one thing I did want to mention before I dive in is that you probably heard a little buzz that Coach Dom over at Lincoln is my brother. Yes, I just want to shout out Dom. You're the best brother ever. So much love to you. But with that being said, I want to jump right in. So, okay. Here we go. So thank you so much for the introduction. I was already, I have some things that were already shared about me, but I just want to reiterate who I am. You're probably wondering, what do I like? What are my interests, etc. And Jazz shared a little bit about, my love for Drake and Call of Duty, etc. But here's some pictures down below. Me and Dom, of course. I love music. I'm one of those people that loves all types. And so you can catch me listening to Jimi Hendrix. You can catch me listening to Danny Lee. Brent Fayez is one of my favorites right now, and some throwbacks. And so absolutely love music. As she mentioned, I love Call of Duty. Catch me online, Newtown 24/7. Not gonna lie to you, I absolutely love it. How to throw a little screenshot there. You see the 30 and 11. I'm not trying to brag, but hey, I'm kind of good. So if you guys are trying to hit me up, play some COD, let me know. Anyway, and as she said, I love the Rubik's Cube. It's one of our staples at Atalo, and everybody at Atalo, including the staff, the students, everyone that we work with, we actually all solve the Rubik's Cube. And one of the key things is that we all solve in under 90 seconds. And I mean, I don't mean to brag, but 20 seconds is pretty fast. So yeah, that's one of the things that I just absolutely love. And each day I love to learn some new algorithms and try to get faster. So that's a little bit about who I am. So one of the things I did want to mention before we dive into this is that I am a Lancaster native. I went to Lincoln Middle School. I went to Wickersham. I moved around a lot, but ultimately born and raised Lancaster. My whole family is here and absolutely have loved my experience. And as she mentioned, I currently work at Atalo. I am the creative director, and I also lead a 12-week entrepreneurship program called Atalo Startup. And so I'll share a little bit more about what that actually is in a couple slides ahead. But I also am involved throughout the county with different projects, and specifically one that I'm super proud of that Coach Dom is also a part of, which is called Songs for Justice. And that is through Music for Everyone. And really, we just want a project that will amplify voices all throughout our community and bring awareness to inequality, inequity, and injustice, most importantly, all throughout history and even till today. And so we want to give musicians, artists, spoken word artists, leaders all throughout our community a platform to kind of share and bring awareness to these issues. And so that's one other role that I am part of outside of Atalo. And so through this talk, I am kind of breaking it down into 3 life lessons that I have learned. I have been all over, have experienced amazing things throughout my life and some things not so amazing. And at this stage of your lives, I hope that some of these things that I learned can bring some value to you. And so I'm going to be sharing 3 things that I learned that hopefully you can get some value from. So the first thing is lesson 1. Your past does not define your future. Listen, at this stage of your lives, you're in middle school. Listen, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make decisions. You're going to be confronted with identity questions. Who's your real friends? Who aren't, where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? And ultimately, you're going to make some decisions that may not be the best. And that's okay, right? Because your past does not define your future. Who I was in middle school is absolutely not the person that I am today. Although I believe that the best things about me have always been there. And I'm sure that a lot of you out there will probably feel the same way when you get to my age. The other thing too I wanted to mention is that there's some of you out there that probably feel as though maybe you weren't dealt the best hand of cards. Right? There's some challenges that you're facing, as a lot of us are. I'm not going to say that I grew up in the worst situation, but there were definitely some family struggles that I faced that no young person should have to see. And there's some of you out there that also feel that. And so while maybe you're feeling as though I'm a little behind, or maybe I wasn't set up for success, that absolutely doesn't mean that you can't achieve it one day. And so that's one of the major things that I learned, in that throughout the kind of chaos of my childhood, and the moving around and the conflict and the questions and the just wondering who I was, ultimately, I didn't let any of that define me. I just kept going, kept gathering new experiences. And so I'm going to share a little bit about what those experiences were. So here's some pics, some throwback pics of Little Mad in Lanc. The first pic is me, I think I was in 1st grade. That was my school ID. And the second one there is, I can't even tell you what age I was. Maybe that was 4th or 5th grade, maybe even 5th or 6th grade. I can't quite remember, but young mad. And then over at the right, you can see that I then transitioned after Lincoln. I moved over to Manheim Township, and that is me in 7th grade, I think I was. And so you can see maybe the glow up. I wouldn't consider it a glow up, but hey, you can see the transition there. But so I just wanted to mention, by the time I actually got to high school, I moved around a lot. I was at 3 different school districts. And so I was constantly feeling as though I didn't really have a place where I truly belonged. I didn't understand why I had to move so much, why I was being torn away from one of my parents to go to the next parent, and then to bounce back and go to the next parent. And ultimately, I had to constantly try to find new friends, try to find my crowd. One second I was, really into alternative music, and I was wearing the studded belts and I had this look. And the next second, when I moved schools, I found a whole new group, and I was, okay, now I guess I have to look like this, and I'm going to wear this, or I'm going to act like this, or love this type of music. And so throughout my childhood, I was constantly feeling as though, who was I? Who did I want to be? Who were my friends? What did I like? And I'm sure a lot of those questions are coming up for you as well. And that's okay, because that's honestly what everybody goes through. And to this day, I wonder, who am I, or who do I want to be? And there's always time to figure that out and to keep evolving as human beings. And so just wanted to share some throwback pics. I was going to throw a throwback of Dom in here, you know what I mean? Just to show you guys what young Dom looked like, but I didn't want to do him dirty. So that's all right, Dom, you're saved this time, but a ton of fun memories. So I want to transition that into, some of the things. This is, again, my picture from my Manheim Township yearbook in 7th grade. That was my signature look, the slicked back ponytail with the big hoops. I had these nameplate Madison hoops, which I still have. I actually lost one of them and I'm so hot about it because I wish I could still rock them. But anyway, that was my look, like my thing. I had the ponytail, I had the big curls, whatever. And so just wanted to share that. I think it's hilarious and somewhat embarrassing. But anyway, some of the things that I learned throughout this process of being in middle school specifically is that, number one, as I mentioned, you might not be set up for success. At this stage, you're probably looking around you and thinking, how can I get to, this point in my life? You're seeing all these people around you, maybe on social media, or people that you're meeting, or people on TV that you're like, how could I ever get to that point? And you might be feeling like maybe you're not set up for that, but that absolutely doesn't mean that you can't have it one day. And that's okay, right? And so we don't need to be dealt the right cards at first to end up with a flush. That's it. Number two, you're gonna make mistakes. We're human, and that's all right. And some of the mistakes, hopefully, we can learn from other people. We don't necessarily need to be the one making mistakes to learn from mistakes. So listen to the stories that people tell you. I know that when your parents and your aunts and uncles, and they're like telling you all these stories of back when they were kids, and we tune them out, we're like, yeah, whatever. And we kind of like don't listen. But that is a wonderful opportunity to hear the mistakes that they made that we don't have to, right? And so take advantage of those moments of being able to see other people in positions where they were able to evolve and learn and absorb that, so that we don't have to be the ones to make those mistakes. And so looking back, I wish I took advantage of that more, of my Wella being like, hey, listen to me, I'm telling you, don't do this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's a different time, Wella, you don't know. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have listened to her, right? And then the third thing is, you might not know who you are yet, and that's all right. It's an ongoing journey. Listen, this pic of Mad right here is not the Mad that you're gonna see about 2 years later in the next photo that I'm gonna show you. The drastic change in personality, in style, in dreams, in hopes, in loves was so different, even within a couple years. And that's all life. That's just the journey, right? And so we're gonna evolve. So let's embrace that. And so that is going to transition me to high school. So like I mentioned, by the time I got to high school, I was already at 3 different school districts. So now I was at Township, and now I'm at Conestoga Valley here. And one of the things I wanted to mention briefly is that, specifically in regards to identity, I kind of went through it a little bit because even to this day, there's some questions that I've always had, about myself or where I really fit in. And as you can see here, I went to a predominantly white school. I had all white friends, and I didn't really understand kind of who I was. So I am a non-Spanish speaking Puerto Rican that, growing up, I always felt like, I was kind of embarrassed. I didn't feel like I was really, Latinx, really Puerto Rican, because I didn't know the language and I wasn't taught. And so I didn't feel like I really belonged, and I couldn't really embrace my culture. Even to this day, I still have that insecurity. And so at that age, and even now, I felt like, well, because I don't speak the language, I don't feel like I'm fully in tune to my Hispanic side. Right? But I obviously looked different than my friends. and I wasn't fully white. And so I was always in this middle ground growing up where I felt like, who's my tribe? Who are my people? Additionally, one of the things I wanted to mention is that, I was also going through some, challenges with who I was interested in, right? And listen, we're gonna get deep. That's the only way I know how to do it. So I'm gonna get vulnerable with you guys. I'm gonna share some things because I think it's important, because so many of you out there are probably having these questions, and you have to know that you're not the only one that has those questions, right? And you're gonna move past it. So at the time of high school, my best friend and I, David, and he was my number one, my go-to. And I remember specifically, he called me one day and he said, "Mad, I got to tell you something." And I thought, oh my goodness, like, what's going to happen? I hope it's not bad. And he's like, no, listen, but nobody knows, and I have to tell you. And then that moment, David came out to me. He identifies as gay at the time, right? And I'm sharing all of this with you because it's these pieces of personal identity that are really pivotal in growth and finding who you are. And you shouldn't be ashamed of it. And in that moment, when he shared that with me, I felt empowered to share with him how I was feeling. And in that moment, I knew my whole life, I identify as a queer Latinx woman. And I shared with him too, hey, my whole life I knew that, I was kind of interested in, this, and I was interested in that. And I shared that with him as well. And, at the time, we only knew of one other person in our school that identified as LGBTQIA plus. And we were nervous. We knew that if anybody else found out, they would probably think we're weird or probably call us names. And so we kind of kept it a secret for a while. I was identified as queer and he identified as gay, and we were nervous. And I was also this non-Spanish speaking Puerto Rican, and I was at a new school, and I just didn't know who I was. I didn't know what to do or who to talk to. And so finally, we thought, no, like, there's no reason to be embarrassed. There's no reason. And so we're just going to talk about it. We're going to share it with people. And so gradually we started to share it and let people know, hey, this is who we are. If you have any questions, let us know. It was kind of awkward. It's like, all right, cool. And I'm not going to lie to you, kids at your age, they're not the nicest, but there's also some people who are absolutely incredible and who will stand by you through your journey. And David was one of those people, but there were also people who were not so nice. I had a group of friends who they were my girls. I grew up with them, played soccer with them, right? And I'm being honest. And when it started coming around that, I might be interested in girls at the time, oh my gosh, even saying it was so crazy at the time, right? Being in school, because it wasn't as common as it is today. A lot of my friends started looking at me like I was weird. They would make comments like, oh, they felt uncomfortable, changing around me or whatever it was. And I immediately felt embarrassed. I felt like I shouldn't even have said anything. And looking back, absolutely not. Because what I did after feeling all of those feelings of feeling embarrassed, feeling like, why did I even tell anybody? Who am I? Why did I do this? I realized, you know what? No, I need to just spend more time with the people who embrace me and who will celebrate me and who will own exactly who I am and all that I am. And so I leaned on those people and I started to cut the others out. Listen, if you don't love me for who I am and all the questions that I have and all the evolutions that I'm making at this stage of my life, then hey, I don't want it. And that's exactly what happened. And so going throughout high school, David is still my best friend to this day. I call him all the time. He lives in DC, and we always talk about this pivotal time of being in high school, being in our freshman year, and fully embracing our identities and knowing that, hey, we were there for one another, even if other people weren't. And so one of the things that I wanted to mention here, as you can see on the screen, it says 6 human needs. And it's a concept by Tony Robbins. He's a motivational speaker. I highly recommend, you look into him if you're interested in kind of personal development and feeling inspired. And Tony Robbins says that there are 6 human needs, and all of us value one or more of these, right? We all need them, but we all value some of them more than others. And so for me, significance was a huge thing. Not just them, but even today. Everybody wants to feel significant. They want to feel like they matter, feel like they have purpose, feel like they belong. And so at this stage of my life, when things weren't going the best, I didn't have a lot of people to look to. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to feel significant. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. And when you're craving one of these things, when you're craving connection, when you're craving significance, when you're craving variety, if you're not intentionally surrounding yourself with positive things or people that will provide you the significance that you need in a healthy way, you're going to seek it out in ways that aren't so healthy. And you might not set yourself up in a way that will allow you to grow in a positive way, right? And so it's important to keep that in mind. If you're lacking belonging, you're lacking clarity, you're lacking certainty, you're lacking variety, you're going to look to things that will give you that, and they might not be the best. And that's what I did. I hung out with the wrong people. I was making definitely not good decisions. I'll tell you that. And because all I wanted to do was feel like I mattered. And so just keep that in mind. And I'm wondering now, actually, as you're listening to this, and I'm curious, as you're sitting here and you're hearing this and you're looking at the 6 needs on the screen, I want to know kind of what you think, or which one you value most, right? Is it certainty, feeling like you're secure, feeling like you're comfortable, you know that you have security around you, certainty? Is it variety, like a little spice of life? Is it significance? You want to feel like you matter, you're important. Connection. Is it growth, or is it contribution? So as you're sitting here, I want you to just take a second and think about that. Which one of these do you value? And think about where is it lacking in your life, or where are you trying to find it? And just assess. Are these people positive? Are these things that you're doing to gain the significance positive? That's all for you to decide. There's no judgment on my end. Listen, I've been there. All the things that you're probably thinking or doing, I've absolutely done. And I know Coach Dom can attest to that too. We've been there. So my call to you is that if you are craving these things, try to seek them out in a positive way. Because listen, then you will be set up for success. So I know that was heavy. I love it. Love to get deep, love to get vulnerable. And the last thing I'm gonna leave you with this one is that you're gonna make mistakes, listen, and that's okay. And you're gonna keep finding your way as you move through this journey. Your past does not define your future. So we're gonna move into lesson 2. As we fly through this, my goodness, I don't have enough time with you guys. I wish I had all day, but I don't. So I'm gonna go through this a little quicker. So lesson 2, step outside of your comfort zone often. Listen, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and not in a negative way. It's like, put yourself out there, go for it. The worst thing that could happen is that, you don't go for it. And then you actually limit yourself before you even start. There were so many situations in my life that if I would have just gone for it, I actually would have gotten what I wanted to get originally. But because I didn't even put myself out there to start, I didn't even give myself the chance. And so what I did was now transitioning after high school, going into college, I was attending Millersville, studying biology. I really wanted to work with wildlife conservation and save the planet. That was my dream. But while I was in school, I was also doing creative work. I taught myself how to do photography, then it was videography, then graphic design, then web design. I did it all. And I was making money. Listen, I was in school and I was making that money. And so I started to realize, and I actually did not like where I was. I was not having a great experience at the school I was at. And so I realized, what if I kind of went all in on this business thing? And that's exactly what I did. but I was nervous, I was looking around me. I didn't see anyone else doing that. I didn't see anyone that looked like me starting businesses. I didn't know, I didn't have anyone in my family that was doing it. I rarely saw women being, heavy hitters in business, especially in my community. So I didn't have anyone that I could look to for inspiration. I was just going off of just my gut. Like, hey, I believe in myself and I'll bet on myself every single day. And so I don't condone it, but that's what I did. And so I actually ended up dropping out of school to pursue my own business. And I learned a ton during that time. But like I said, it's hard to be what you can't see, right? If I don't see other women of color starting businesses, how am I ever going to believe that I can do it too? And so I tried to find people all around me that I could source inspiration from and source knowledge from so that I could go for it. And I did. I spoke to enough people and just went for it, right? And bet on myself. And so I started Media by Madison. Here's a picture of my sister. It's one of my favorite pictures I've ever took. I don't know why. It's just so moody and it really captures her beauty. But anyway, so as I mentioned, I did photography, videography, web design, social media, graphic design. I did a bunch of different things. And so through this process, learned a lot about myself. And the one thing I wanted to mention is that, going the entrepreneurial route is not glamorous. It is not. People hear these stories about Mark Zuckerberg dropping out of Harvard to start Facebook, and it's this glamorous thing, and they watch these movies. But honestly, to start, it really is not. It is a grind. It's hard. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of resources to do this. And so, listen, I just grinded out, and eventually, through this process and getting my name out there and just having fun with it, I actually came across Atalo. And so they actually consulted me to work with their production team for our spring gala. This is where our seniors announce where they're going to college. And for that particular year, we had Magic Johnson as our keynote speaker. And so I basically ran all things creative and joined the Atalo team. So as you can see, the big arrow there, that's me beside Magic. And it was an incredible experience. We had over 1,200 people there. We had a red carpet. It was amazing. I still, to this day, it's probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. And because of that experience, I realized, and they offered me a position to join, and I had to make a choice. Again, it's all about choices. And I had to decide, do I want to continue with my business, keep going, making a name for myself, or do I want to join this incredible organization and impact students' lives every day? And I chose that. Listen, I can always go back to business. I can always start another one, and best believe I will again. And I'll let all of you know. But until then, listen, let's have fun with it. Let's learn, let's grow. And so I joined this team, this incredible team of people, and have had insane experiences. So here are some pictures of me. As I mentioned, I am creative director. I do all things creative. I do our graphic design, our web design. I run our social media, but I'm also heavily involved with the students. I work directly with them to hear their dreams, craft their visions. I also do diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings. And you're probably wondering what that means. And what that means is we're trying to bring awareness to the importance of building inclusive and diverse spaces everywhere, in education, in criminal justice, in business, in nonprofit, everywhere. We need other people that look like us. Right? We need spaces where we feel like we belong. And so that is also something that we work heavily in. So we have, a bunch of different pictures down on the bottom right. That's me teaching my startup class, where I actually go through the process of actually creating startups with students through 12 weeks. So they each create their own ventures. And so it's super exciting. I have them learn how to think like an entrepreneur, right? Because whether you're going to start a business or not, everybody can benefit from thinking like an entrepreneur. Because listen, we're all entrepreneurs of our own lives. That is what it is. And so we have to be able to think critically, think outside the box, be innovative. And so As she said, as Jazz mentioned in the beginning, I'm involved with a lot of different things, but all super exciting. And if you weren't aware of what Atalo is, we are an educational nonprofit. We work with juniors and seniors in high school, and we guide them through the college process. So we provide college prep, college tours. We go all around the country. The top right picture is in California. I was actually the person taking the photo, so I couldn't be in the photo. I'm so sad. But that's us in San Francisco. And, you know, we do more career development courses like coding, like entrepreneurship, pre-med, etc. And so we're heavily immersed in the process for young people. And so I just wanted to... So that is me smoking Jordan, just to be clear, giving him that heat in a cube off. And a little fun fact, like I mentioned, we do the cube. We actually, as a staff, do cube offs every Friday for our team meeting. And it's like rounds of cube offs, right? So we all go. When the slowest person loses, they go down, and then the top three go to the middle, and then we cube off. So that was me smoking him in a cube off. And the other thing I wanted to touch base on really quickly is with the cube. And people wonder why we do the cube. Like, why do we teach students Rubik's Cube? That's so random. Well, we do it because we want to show young people that not only can they do something challenging, but they can do something challenging at an exceptional rate. And that is for everything. Listen, and I'm telling you right now, there are things that you're thinking are too hard for you to do, but I'm telling you that you can do them. And not only am I telling you that you can do them, but you can do them better than other people can do them. You can do them the best that you think you can do them. You just need to be reaffirmed. You need to just be shown the steps. And that's just like the cube. All you need to learn are the steps. And then look, you'll be hitting 20 seconds in a little bit. So I just wanted to share that because I think that's really fun. And, you know, I just love winning. So just wanted to share a little moment there. So really quick, I wanted to share a story of Chance the Rapper. Oh my goodness. So this was our Chicago college tours. As I mentioned, we go all around the country with our students and go on these tours. At the bottom left, we are paddle boarding in the Lake Michigan lake. Oh my gosh, what am I saying? Fumbling all over the place. Lake Michigan. And you can see the skyline behind you. The middle one, we're actually in the Willis Tower, and they have a glass bottom, and you can see all the way down. It was crazy. I almost passed out. It was wild. And then on the bottom right, so really quick story. So we are in Chicago, and we do professional development while we're on these tours. So we go to Chicago recording studios, and while we're there, who happens to be there but Chance? And we're like, what are the odds of this? That we're in Chicago, in Chance's town, and he happens to be there, and he was recording his new album at the time. And we're like, what is this? So we run into him, we get, you know, his people's info, whatever. And it's crazy because the whole time we were there, we have a student who absolutely loves Chance. His name's Matt Flynn. Give him a shout out. He'll probably never see this, but hey, Matt, if you're listening, all he kept saying the whole time, oh my gosh, we're going to see Chance. I know we're going to see Chance. And we all just kept making fun of him. We're like, oh, no, we're never going to see Chance. And then this literally happens. It was crazy. It's like he spoke it into existence. Anyway, so then a year later, we are having our Atalo Talk series where we're talking about issues, real world issues, and, you know, injustice that has occurred all throughout our history. And we remember, oh, hey, we got in contact with Chance. You know, it'd be wild if we brought Chance on. And then our team's like, okay, bet. Like, let's just do it then. Because that's the culture at Atalo. And that should just be the culture of life, frankly. I didn't learn that until I was at Atalo. But if you're trying to do something, like I mentioned earlier, just go for it. Shoot your shot. The worst thing that can happen is that he doesn't come. And so that's literally what we did. We said, let's just hit up Chance and see if he'll come. And he actually did. And so the top left is Chance. hanging out with us on our talks. He went through, talked about the importance of education and, shared a little bit about his story, but it was absolutely insane how it happened. But also, if you think about it, it wasn't, because we made the necessary moves to get him on there. And so with that, I just wanted to mention is that dreams don't work unless you do. You can't just expect that things are going to fall in line for you. You have to put in the work. But if you put in the work, listen, the craziest things that you can imagine could work out for you. Just like Chance coming on the call. Listen, we put in the work and he was there. Go ahead. Like whatever you're wanting to do, whatever your vision is, you got to put in the work. But those dreams can happen. And so also I wanted to briefly mention is that we had Yara. You probably know Yara from several shows, but she also joined us. So that was another thing. We're like, all right, so we had Chance. Then the next time we're like, all right, who else can we get? Let's just like go for it. Let's just shoot our shot. And so we asked Yara if she would want to join us as we spoke about inequity in education. And she goes, yeah, absolutely, I will. And it was like through an Instagram DM that we hit her up. And so she ended up joining us for the next one that we had. And so through these talks, we had over 700 people from our community join. We had Chance and Yara join us. And the reason why I bring these situations up is that I just want to emphasize the importance of going for it. Absolutely, in all aspects of life, because beautiful things can happen. And so with that comes my final lesson, because I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for Q&A. So last lesson is never stop learning. You might think you're achieving a lot of things. You might be great at one thing, right? Or great at a lot of things, but it's really important to demonstrate humility and not get complacent. As soon as we think that, oh, I'm good, we're not. That is immediately when we start to go down. And so it's important to never stop learning. And I know you're in here and you're like, man, I just want to be out of school. I'm sick of this. Oh, I'm not a school person. But learning isn't just school, but you should absolutely try as hard as you can in school, because it does matter. And it's an amazing experience if you capitalize on it. But aside from that, learning is all over. Learning is hearing other people's perspectives. Learning is obtaining a new skill. That's exactly what I did. I said, all right, I know how to do photography and videography. And then someone hit me up and they're like, do you know how to do web design? And I said, no, but I can. And then I literally taught myself how to do web design. And then they were like, oh, do you know how to do graphic design? And I was like, I can. And then taught myself how to do graphic design. Never stop learning. Listen, this is a process and there's levels to this life. There are levels. And it's all about unlocking them. What level are you trying to get to? You just got to assess that. And then let's learn some things and get there. And so the other thing I wanted to mention is that even through this process, it's not enough. I have a great job. I have a great family. I've achieved a lot of things, but it's not nearly enough. There are levels, and I'm trying to unlock the next one. And so with that, I decided to go back to school to finish my degree, because as I mentioned, I did drop out, and education is so important. We don't realize the importance of education, especially for people like us, right? People that are not set up for success. I wasn't set up for success. I have to forge my own path. And the way to do that is through education and through a lot of other things. Of course, it's not the only path, but I know for me, this was my next level. And so I'm going back, but not only was I like, I'm not just going to go anywhere. I'm not just going to go back to Millersville, or I'm not just going to go, wherever to get my degree. What's my dream school? Where do I want to go? Villanova, baby. And so I thought, what's a really hard school to get into? And what's a school that I genuinely love? And I thought Villanova. And listen, I shoot my shot. I said, I've been out of school for quite some time. I'm definitely an untraditional student. And so my odds of getting in are pretty low. But hey, if I'm going to do this thing, I want to do it right. And I want to be the best. And so I applied, got in, and hey, your girl's getting her degree. So all that being said is that it's really important to never stop learning. You can always be better, and you should be better. So Here's some pictures of me on campus. Here is a cake that my team at Atalo got me when I got accepted. It was a surprise. I felt so supported. And so with that, I just want to wrap up by saying that we need more leaders like all of you out there. You all have experiences that are unique to you. You're all facing challenges that are unique to you. And you're only going to continue to build resiliency. You're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to unlock these levels. And we need people like you that love a certain thing, that have a certain dream, that have a vision. And so whatever you need to get there, find that thing, find those people, because you can. They're all around you. You just have to find them. And so that's it. To wrap up my 3 lessons. First, your past does not define your future. Second, step outside of your comfort zone. And lastly, never, ever, ever stop learning. So that is all I have. I'd love to hear some questions. I see the chat thing blowing up, but I have not had a chance to look at it. So how should we go about this?
Thank you so much. So myself and the other counselors will just start pulling questions out of the chat, and you can just answer them. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Awesome. So I guess the first question can be, have you ever thought about giving up, and how did you get past it?
Yeah, so listen, in all transparency, absolutely. So mental health is something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's definitely prevalent in my family. So, depression runs in both sides of my family. I've experienced some pretty severe things. And in my personal life, there have been several moments where I absolutely thought that I cannot go on, and I don't want to, I don't even matter, or I am not even doing anything that is our own minds are so powerful. We will trick ourselves to believe anything we want. And so it's all about pulling yourself out of it. You can't rely on anyone else to do that for you. And so that's what I had to do so many times in my life. Even to this day, there's gonna be times that you fall down, but listen, you have the power to pull yourself out of it. And that's exactly what I did. But yes, I have.
Hi, Madison. Who has been your biggest influence growing up, and are you still in contact with them?
Man, my biggest influence. So I'm going to rapid fire really quick. Of course, my mom, she grew up in a foster home in a not very good setting of her life. She had 3 of us by herself, lived at the mission while she was with us, ended up getting her degree while she was raising us. She's just the epitome of a strong, amazing woman. And so seeing her journey and seeing her be able to accomplish all of these things, despite her circumstances and despite her not being set up for success, she is absolutely my biggest inspiration. But there's also just so many women around me that I have looked to gain insight, inspiration, etc. But mom for sure.
This question has been asked a couple times, but is Coach Dom your older brother or your younger brother?
Ooh, so Dom is my older brother. Yeah, he's the oldest in our family. Oh, now I'm seeing all the questions. Okay. I can go through some of these. I can rapid fire. Would that be good?
Yeah, Jackie, Ms. Martin, is there a question that you wanted to ask before she went ahead and did that?
Someone asked what you do for music for everyone, and also what's your favorite song?
Yes. Okay. So, first, music for everyone. I am the lead of the selection committee for Songs for Justice. So first, I'm on their board, so I'm a board member. So I hear about all things about their nonprofit and the inner workings of that. I'm also, with Songs for Justice, I'm the head of the selection committee. So we decide which musicians are going to be featured on the records that we're producing. And so that's my involvement with music for everyone. And also my favorite song, oh my goodness, I have so many, but I would say literally right now, I'm so lame because I always listen to like old songs, but I would say I love Diamonds by Danny Lee, even though that came out like mad long ago, but I don't care because I love it so much and I still listen to it. I also, I think Teenage Fever by Drake, it will always be one of my favorites. Also, there's a song by Oasis called Wonderwall. I actually have it tattooed on my shoulder. It's about, you know, having an absolute admiration and love for somebody and like just believing in somebody else. And so Wonderwall by Oasis as well. But I also see someone asked here, do you have Rocket League? I do have Rocket League. I'm not good, but I'm definitely down to play. Do I have a YouTube channel? I did have a YouTube channel and then I got really embarrassed and I was like, oh my gosh, people probably don't like it and they probably think I'm weird. And so I stopped doing it, but I actually always have questions. So maybe I should. Hey, if you're going to tune in, maybe I will. How old were you in 7th grade? To be honest, I have no concept of time. For some reason, I don't know what age I was at any point. It's like, how old are 7th graders? I don't know. So however old you are was probably the age that I was. What is your gamer tag? Oh my gosh, what is it? It's, what is it? It's VXN underscore, and then it's like numbers. I forget. Anyway, I will relay that information. I'll be sure if you have questions, ask Coach Dom and I'll send it. Oh, okay. Queer. Okay, so this is basically, you know, in terms of LGBTQ plus, queer is, well, there's a bunch of definitions for I think a lot of things, but there is some ambiguity in regards to your sexuality. So this is not really identifying as, you know, one thing over another thing. It's being fluid. And so knowing that you have interests in, you know, multiple different people, but not necessarily identifying as, you know, gay or identifying as lesbian. And so that is what I would say for me, queer means to me, is that I'm not really set on any particular thing. I just know that I love people. And so that is, you know, how I feel. So that is that. Is it hard in life? It's hard every day. It's hard out here. But listen, it's also absolutely beautiful everywhere around you. You just have to look at the beauty. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. I want to read all of these, but I know I'm running out of time. Jazz, just cut me off whenever.
Yeah, so you can keep going. I think we can give it like 2 more minutes. They want to know, are you playing on Xbox or PlayStation?
Yeah, so Xbox. I mean, no, not Xbox. I'm sorry. What am I saying? I used to play on Xbox, but I've transitioned to PlayStation. But because COD is, you can play with anyone. That's why I primarily play COD. But PlayStation all the way, baby. It's just better. Listen, I'll argue about that any day. Go ahead, come for me. Go ahead, do it. PlayStation. Anyway, okay, how did I handle all of this? I did it through hard work. I did it through finding inspiration everywhere that I could. And most importantly, believing in myself. Bet on yourself every day because there's going to be people around you that don't. But ultimately, it's what you think that matters. And so bet on yourself. And so that's how I got through all of this. Am I an anime fan? I actually can't say that I know a lot of anime, but I've always wanted to get into it because it looks dope. So people that are anime fans, you know, put me on. Let's see. Oh my gosh. What's my favorite song or color? My favorite color is bubblegum pink. Let's see. Was it hard for you when you left school? Absolutely. It was challenging. I literally remember leaving my class when I made the decision. I was in my car hysterically crying, talking to my dad, telling him that I was sorry that I did this. And literally he said that he believes in me always. And he knows that whatever I do, I'll be successful. And so yes, it was incredibly hard, but ultimately it led me here, speaking to all of you fine folks. Okay, how old am I? I guess you'll never know. What is the biggest thing I've ever regretted? Not going for it when I could have. There were so many situations that I could have put myself out there and I didn't. And now looking back, why not? Just do it. Have fun with it. Play it loose. Okay. What is my dream job? This is what I'll end with. Slight plug. My dream job. Well, my dream job, of course, is I love working with students every day, as I do right now, of course. But one day I want to start another business. I want to be an entrepreneur, baby. I want to get back into it, but I want to have a creative agency. And I want to hire the best, beautiful, diverse minds and create innovative, impactful content for companies that have a strong mission. And so that's what I want. And I want to have a huge team, and I want to have multiple locations around the world. And so when you guys graduate, if you're trying to work for me, hit me up. But I won't keep you guys any longer. I know that we've gone past time, but yeah. Okay. I think that's what
Thank you so much. Students, thank you for joining. Teachers, thank you for jumping on and promoting this for your students. It has been a great school year. And like I said before, there's only one direction for us to all go from here, and that's up. So thank you all for joining. Have a great day and have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.